Putting big holes through walls with diamond corbets is something a lot of DIYers fear, but it's something that you're going to need to do if you want to put in tumble dryer ducts, bathroom vents and fans, and vents for cooker hoods and things like that. So make sure you watch till the end of the video, because there's a load of top tips so that you make the job safe and easy, and that you can all do it by the time you've finished watching. So I'm putting a tumble dryer duct in today, and the first thing you want to do is to mark on the wall where you want that corbet to go through. So my corbet needs to go through the wall on that mark there. Now use a detector to check for wiring and pipes in the wall where you're going to be putting your corbet through. Now remember, the diameter of the corbet is 117 mil, so we need to make sure that there's no cables or pipes within 117 mil circumference of the mark that we've made, not just where we've made the mark, because that mark is only for the pilot bit. Our hole's going to be a lot bigger than that, so we need to make sure there's no cables anywhere in the vicinity. There shouldn't be any cables in here according to the zones, but you never know, so it's always worth checking. This is a great little detector. If you want to grab one of these, I'll put a link in the description. So we now know that we're safe to put our corbet through the wall where our mark is. So what do we do next? Now first things first, you need the right tools from the start, because if you got the wrong tools, you're going to really struggle. So let me run through them first of all, and then we'll crack on and get a hole through this wall. You'll need an SDS drill for this job, a nice powerful one. I prefer to use a 240 volt, but if you've got a good 18 volt, you could use that. Bear in mind that you want to have something fairly lightweight, especially if you're doing corbets at head height, up a ladder, which I don't really recommend, but sometimes it's unavoidable. It can get really heavy by the time you've got the corbet on the end of the drill. So you want a powerful drill, but you don't want anything absolutely massive, because it's just going to wear your arms out. And typically for a tumble dryer, a cooker hood, or an extractor fan, something like that, you're going to be using 117 mil corbet. That's going to be the most common one that you're going to use. So to set the kit up, grab hold of the corbet and the chuck that's relevant for your drill. So in this case it's the SDS one. Just screw that all the way in, and then drop in the 8mm SDS bit that's supplied into the core. So that is now prepared, but here's the first little tip, because I like to do this slightly differently. I don't like to just put this in my drill and go straight through the wall. What I want to do is use this 8mm SDS bit to make a pilot hole through the wall first. It's the same diameter, 8mm, so you'd think it would just do the same job, because essentially all the drill bit really does is to create a guide to center the corbet so that it doesn't bounce around when you start drilling through the wall. Now, why do I like to do that? Why don't I just go straight through with the corbet? Well, the first reason is because when you go through a wall with a corbet, you want to make sure you get them nice and level. And when we put that corbet in the drill, let's put that in the chuck there, you can see that makes the drill really head heavy and quite hard initially, especially if you're working at head height, to get that to go through the wall perfectly level. I find it a lot easier to just put an 8mm SDS bit in there and run that through the wall first, because I can get it nice and level, and then my corbet will follow. The second reason I like to go through with an SDS bit first is because when we come to putting the corbet through, it makes a hell of a lot of dust and mess, and I want to do that from the outside, but I want to put a pilot bit through the wall first so that I know exactly where my corbet needs to go on the outside. So let's go back to that mark we made earlier. Switch the SDS drill to drill and hammer. Our corbet's going to follow this hole, so we need to make sure we've got the drill perfectly level and at the perfect angle. So line your drill bit up with your mark, make sure the drill is nice and level, and start drilling. If you're drilling through a cavity wall, you'll notice that you'll hit the cavity and then you'll need to continue passing through to the brick on the other side. Let's have a look now what we've got the other side. We've actually come out of the mortar, so that's not too bad. We've not got too much brick blowout. If we did have a bit of brick blowout, it's not the end of the world, because remember, you've got 117mm that brick blowout would be encapsulated within, so that's not the end of the world. But what we do have now is a guide to put our corbet through the wall from the outside, so that all the dust and all the mess is on the outside. Let's crack on. Now make sure when you're putting a corbet through a wall that you choose the right size first time every time, because whilst you can, and there is a little technique, enlarge the size of a corbet, it can be very difficult. To be honest, it just causes you a massive pain in the backside. So make sure you choose the right size first. That is tip number one. My next little tip is to make sure that you don't have the drill on hammer action. So let's take the drill off hammer action. If you try and use the hammer action on the drill, firstly you'll probably damage the diamond lugs on the core bit, and secondly you'll make a massive mess of either the brick face or the inside face of the wall when you come out the other side. It's just going to punch a massive hole through. That's if you get through at all and you don't damage the drill bit. Now take the drill bit out and replace that with your diamond core bit. Now we'll make sure we line the core bit up and use the drill bit or guide. Some of these actually come with a guide, and you have to use a pilot hole like we have there. Sometimes they don't actually come with a drill bit, but make sure you line either your drill bit or your guide up with the hole that we made. Put that in the hole. We want to follow that pilot bit that we made. You don't want to push too hard to start with. You just want to get that drill bit going. So put a gentle bit of pressure on there and start drilling. Safety glasses. Nearly forgot again. You still don't want to push too hard, just gentle pressure, keeping the drill nice and level and letting the diamond lugs on the drill bit do the work. What we can now do is remove the drill bit from the diamond core bit. Taking the drill bit out is very easy. You just use your drift, push the drift through, and the drill bit will pop out. It's probably going to take 5 or 10 minutes, so I'll probably speed the video up so that you don't get bored. And there you go, you can see that we're through to the cavity now, and you can see why I prefer to do this from the outside, because the amount of dust is pretty severe. So this actually gives me a good opportunity to check the insulation in the wall, because we've just bought this place, and let me take them off so you can see me, because we've just bought this place, and there's going to be the renovation series coming up on the channel. First episode may have dropped already. If it has, make sure you go and check it out. If it hasn't, it will do very soon. So we're now going to put the core bit back in and go through the cavity into the block on the inside wall. Now when you do this bit, this would be the most likely time that the drill may jump. Even though you've got a drill with a clutch on it, it could still jump around. So I'd advise having your face out of the way, and then make sure you get a little way through that block work before you even consider going over the top of the drill again. Because if that drill does bounce around, it's going to whack you in the chin. So you can see it's a lot softer, it's going through that a lot quicker. There you go, we're through. And you can see we've got minimal breakout of the plaster because we didn't push too hard, and you can see all the way through to the outside. Remember, there's plenty more to learn. If you like this video, you're probably going to like one of these ones as well. And I'll see you guys in the next one.